You're live. Hey, all right, here we are from my offices in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're doing Tuesday Night Live with McCallum, and we're going to be talking about all things real estate. I'm going to get into what's happening currently in our market today. No bullshit. We're going to talk about what's really happening because I'm in the trenches every day. I'm talking to sellers, I'm talking to buyers, I'm writing contracts, I'm doing listing contracts. We're talking about all these crazy negotiations that you keep hearing about so much right now with the big lawsuit going on with National Association of Realtors and the DOJ and all of that group, right? And so being in the trenches in Las Vegas, Nevada right now, and also the Boise, Idaho area. I'm licensed and selling real estate in Boise, Idaho, the Treasure Valley area, all that surrounding area, and Southern California too, Santa Clarita, California. So I have offices, Remax, and I'm with Simply Vegas right here in Vegas. And that's where I'm talking to you from tonight. And I want to get into what's happening in our market. So, there's so much confusion going on. I was talking to my wife earlier as I was going through all the data points, because I like to really look at all the data from multiple sources, right, of what's happening. I think that's the best way to do it. And then also with what I'm seeing and come over that. But I'll tell you, looking through all the data points today, I was just like, there was so many total different opinions on data that, or it's not supposed to be opinion, it's supposed to be hard data, right? So it was just so skewed and so different. And on the side of the spectrum that I just couldn't go with the data that I was finding today. And I look at some really good sources. So somebody's wrong about some of that data. So I'm not going to get into that mix right now. So I'm just going to talk to you about what I'm seeing in the trenches live today. And you know what? I have not hooked up the proper microphone on this, so I'm going to connect that real quick here. I hope everybody can hear me okay. Let me check on that. Do me a favor. If you're watching this, please subscribe. I want to make sure I'm able to get everybody's answers, and you can always send me a question in the chat as well. Let me take a look at something here real quick. I'm actually right in the middle of doing a contract as well at this time. Okay. Hang on one sec. Just taking care of a little quick biz. There we go. Let's see how that works out. Anyways, so what's going on in our market here in Las Vegas? Let's talk about Las Vegas real estate right now. Okay. Our inventory levels, we're at 4,634 active on the market right now. Okay. Here in our Las Vegas market. That's single family homes, townhomes, condos, high rises. That's another one we have to throw in the mix here in Las Vegas is high rises, right? So, anyways, okay, let me move the camera back a little bit here. There we go. Is that any better? I hope that's okay. So we're getting this put together. A little bit of technical difficulties, and we're trying to iron these couple issues out real quick here to make sure we could bring you a better presentation. And this is a work in progress. So coming to you live here. I'm in my office here, still trying to finish up some ends on a couple of deals we're putting together right now. So anyways, 4,634 active listings in Las Vegas. Well, what does that mean to most people? Is that a lot? Is that not very many? What is that? Well, that's actually up 12% from last month. Okay. We've increased 12% in our inventory across the whole Las Vegas metro from just last month. And that's up 31.5% from last year. So that's quite a jump in our inventory. And this is kind of how it's been all across the nation. Gosh, in Florida, it's gone off the hook over there. Those guys are just, it's like the wave of homes coming on the market over there, right? So feel for Florida. Their inventory is jumping up way too fast over there. But in Boise, Idaho, Santa Clarita, California, my markets that I'm watching, inventory has increased over there as well. But between those two areas and Las Vegas, the three areas that I'm licensed and working in and in the trenches all the time, right? The inventory has still got a long way to go before we get to buyer's market. Okay. We have slid out of seller's market. Okay. We're just at a 2.2 months to 2.3 months supply of inventory right here in the Las Vegas metro to give you an idea. And some of the other markets might be slipping a little bit closer to 3.5, 4 months of inventory. Once we hit that, 5-ish, 6 months of inventory, that's what they really consider more neutral market. And going over the 6-month mark of inventory, that's where you start to get into a buyer's market, right? we haven't had a buyer's market of inventory for a long time. And hopefully the numbers I just demonstrated to you, that will kind of paint a clearer picture that we have quite a ways to go before we get into buyer's market. But what we are doing now is coming out of that seller's market, still a little bit of a seller's market in some areas across the nation, right? And some have already gone into maybe more of a neutral market altogether. So just got to pay attention to the inventory, and we have to pay attention to what's going into escrow, right? Let me find my numbers of what we have pending right here in Las Vegas, Nevada right now. We I lost my pendings number. Look over here. Okay. All right. I'm going to have to find my pendings number. All right. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Fed and the discussion they had about that. Inventory, lawsuits, rates. We had pendings around 2,548. Okay. Yes. So that's where we're at. We have pendings. As you can see, there are homes selling. They're going into escrow. That's what that means by pending. They're just either gone into escrow or they've been in escrow a little while and then they've gone pending. And that's what's happening. So homes are selling. If you're thinking or hearing that homes aren't selling and there's this big wave of foreclosures building up, none of that's happening. Okay. Our inventory is picking up because two reasons, honestly, in my opinion. Well, three really, but the houses are sitting in the market longer because buyer demand has slowed. Buyer demand has slowed. No joke about it. That's because of the interest rates. They are finally starting to come down. I'm actually noticing even just today a little bit more of a pickup. Okay, it could be just today, but I'm feeling a little bit more of a pickup in all three areas. I had activity start to pick up. Let's see what happens. You know, the Fed is talking very heavily and convincing a lot of people that he is going to be lowering that interest rate, or sorry, the mortgage rate. Actually, I'm sorry, the Fed rate this mid-September. So he's making people feel very confident that's going to get done. And we're talking not even just a quarter point, but maybe a half a point on that drop. If he drops it a half a point, we're going to get really busy. Things are going to start picking up a lot more. Even a quarter point will help. But one thing I wanted to share with you in the lending world is when the Fed starts making people feel very confident that he's going to go ahead with a rate cut, which he's already talked about from his Jackson Hole vacation. He had a little chat with some more people about that and made people feel even more confident that's what's going to happen. I will be honest with you, okay? I've heard this happen before with this Fed. He's talked about multiple rate cuts that never happened. So I want to see what happens. But if the lending world is feeling confident, they're already pricing those rate cuts into their numbers already. So reach out to your lenders, right? If you're thinking about making a purchase or going forward, or you want to start at least looking right now, waiting for that to happen may not be the best answer, is what I'm trying to say here. So I'm looking right at this camera right now, and I hope everybody can see me. I'm feeling that I'm looking right at the camera. Let's hope that that is the case here. So I'm staring right into it right now. Do you see me looking right at you? I hope so, but that's probably not the best look for you right here tonight. So anyways, I don't know what's happening. I'm having more technical difficulties here. I am so sorry. I don't know. I hope you can hear me okay. Okay. Is this camera on? Is this thing working? Hello? Hello, hello? Okay. I'm not sure what's going on here. I might have to step aside for technical difficulties. I hope everybody can see me. Or are they looking at me right over here? Is this the right camera? Is this the right camera? Help me out here. I need some audio help and some visual help here as well. Okay, here we go. I think this is going to be the camera for us right here, right now. Let's take a look at that. How's that? That a little bit better? Yes, finally. Thank you for the help on that. So how's the audio? I hope the audio is okay. Everybody can hear me okay? So let's talk more about what's going on with this commission issue. Let's get into that right now, right? There's been a lot of discussions about that, a lot of confusion about that with this National Association of Realtors lawsuit, with the Department of Justice, and this debacle, if you will. I mean, there's a lot of confusion out there. If you're watching the YouTube videos or reading all the different ads out there, you know, how is this going to get done? How is this going to be worked out? Listen, It's all working out, in my opinion. It's all working out. I'm doing deals. Everything is fine. Okay. They just moved the cheese around a little bit. That's what happened, right? They took the commission amount that the buyer's agent will be paid off the MLS. Okay. All right. All right. So that freaked a lot of people out, mostly buyer agents, because when they go look on the MLS, they can see what they're going to get paid if they bring a buyer and successfully close the deal. That's a real important point. If they bring the buyer and successfully close the deal, they bring the buyer and they don't close the deal, they get nothing. Their time, energy, reputation, now maybe they have an upset buyer client, who knows, right? Have lost it all. Nothing. They're just out their money. They've paid transaction coordinators, their whatever expenses they have to put into the whole deal, that's gone. So please understand that about your buyer agent. And for you, when you have to sign these new buyer broker agreements, okay, so your buyer agent can represent you, and you're going to now notice too, the new change of the law, besides mandatory to have these buyer broker agreements signed, they're also going to put how much commission you'll be on the hook for to your buyer agent. Your buyer agent, though, okay, is going to try to get that money from the seller. They're still going to write it because they took the amount of commission off the MLS, right? And they put it on the contracts. So now when you write a contract for the purchase price or the purchase offer, there's a line now where they could put on buyer broker commission. So that's going to go right on there, and that's going to get presented to the seller. The seller is going to look at, okay, here's the purchase price, here's the terms, conditions, and I got to pay the buyer agent, right? So it's going to be a new negotiation. At the end of the day, it's just another new negotiation that realtors get one more negotiation they got to deal with, okay? Just so you know, we don't negotiate just purchase price. We don't open up a door, show you the house, tell you what a nice fridge and how the sliding window is fantastic in the backyard is beautiful. What do you think? Write the offer. No. That's just where it starts. That's the very beginning. Okay. And then negotiating the purchase price, there's the terms, there's the conditions, there's possession, there's potential rent backs. It goes on and on and on. It would blow your mind. We sit down and talk about, I'm happy to do that anytime or any questions you ever have. I could, and really this is my problem I have with the National Association of Realtors. I think a lot of realtors do, is that they've never done anything for realtors or the industry as far as, educating the public about what realtors really do. They don't just open doors and show a house and write a contract and get paid a lot of money. No, that's not how it goes. Please, you got to really look into this. Hopefully somebody will start. And actually, I'm seeing a lot of agents come on there and they're actually showing what they really do behind the scenes and all those kind of things. And I'm going to be doing the same thing as well. So anyways, enough of that. I don't want to sound like I'm beating my chest, but so anyways, with the commission debacle, right? I hope that kind of points out a little bit of what's going on. They took it off the MLS so the agent can't see how much they're going to get paid. You now mandatory to sign a buyer broker agreement, right? And the agent is going to want to make sure that they put on their compensation on there that you're going to be on the hook for if they can't get it from the seller. They're going to try and do everything they can to get it from the seller through negotiations on the purchase offer. If the seller happens to respond back and says, we'll accept your offer and we will pay your agent, great. If the seller responds back and says, we'll accept your offer, but we're only going to pay your agent half, you're asking for 3%, we're going to give you 1.5%, we're going to give you 2% back. Well, now that's, you've already had that negotiation. You've had that discussion with your buyer, right? And the buyer should pick up the other portion of that for you, because the agent is going to need to be compensated. This is how they feed their family. This is their job, not to mention all the other expenses that have to come out of that commission amount. So they don't make all that commission, right? If you could actually look at from the broker's explanation of expenses that come out of there and deductions that come out of there for the broker, there's brokerage fees, there's insurance fees, there's E&O, errors and omissions, they got to pay their transaction coordinator. If there's a listing, they got to pay for marketing, and that's a whole nother song and dance. That's a whole nother discussion, basically. But if you're just representing the buyer, there's still expenses that have to come out of that. So please understand that. Anyway, so I don't think this commission thing is going to be that big of a problem. Honestly, I don't feel it. I think it's all just, people still need to buy and sell houses. The commission with the agent, we're going to get that all figured out. I think most people understand, yes, they need to be paid, whether it's the seller is going to pay it or the buyer is going to pay it, or they're going to split it or work it out. fine, let's go for it. I've not seen an issue with it at all on any deals I'm doing at all, not even a little bit, right? So talking to, let's say, a potential seller, and the seller says, hey, I've heard all about the lawsuit. I don't have to offer commission anymore. Well, Mr. Seller or Mrs. Seller, you never have had to offer commission. Never, ever, ever. It was never mandatory, never a law. You've never had to. That was $1 on the MLS. That was it. But now that's been removed, right? Not even $1. So you've never had to offer commission. And commissions for the listing agent and the buyer agent has always been completely negotiable, right? But there's a standard out there too. And most people understand there's a standard and what's going to help attract people. So someone was asking me, how do you know so many buyers are represented by agents, which it is. I've heard a couple different stats. 89% of buyers are represented by a buyer's agent. And then I've heard 93 and 95%. So I'm not quite sure which one it is, but use your best judgment. It's probably somewhere right around there, right? How I've seen that myself, just from working in the trenches all the time, is, for example, open houses. At open houses, I have a registration. Buyers come in, they put down their name, real quick little basic information that we don't do anything with. But there's also a couple boxes to check. Do you have an agent? I'd say probably at least 90% of them have an agent when they come into the open house, especially today, even more so. It wasn't maybe quite that many before. Maybe it was like 80%. But it seems like I'm seeing a good 90, 95% of them. They're all checking they have an agent. And most of them do, right? Maybe some of them just check that they don't want to be bothered, but honestly, I think most of them do have an agent. A lot of them tell me their agent's name too, and or sometimes they'll write it right down there on the registration. So that's cool. Helps me collect my data, right? That I can share with you. So that's one way that I could tell very easily what's happening, right? And on the listings too, I'll get sign calls too, and they'll say they have an agent. So, and then if they're going to come forward on offer, then great, have your agent call me and we'll go from there. So I see a lot of that. There is a tremendous amount of buyers that have agents representing them. So if a seller wants to just cut all that out and say, I'm not offering a buyer commission at all, well, you're just going to get rid of a tremendous amount of traffic, a huge amount. I would never do that. Houses I've sold in the past, which have been several of my own homes, right? I have always offered a commission. Always offered a commission. No doubt, no questions at all. And a very fair market value commission I'm offering these buyers. I want them to make some money and I want them to get the deal done, right? I want them to come in and go, oh, I'm not even getting much money on this deal. If it closes, doesn't work out. Hey, I want you to work for me too. I want you to make sure that you're doing everything you can to get this deal to the closing table, right? So anyways, so that's enough about the commissions. I hope that sheds a little bit of light. Again, let me know if you have questions. I could always elaborate more about that. I'll have to get that call back real quick. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about real quick was what we're going to talk about. What was the other thing we're going to talk about? Let me get my notes here real quick. So you got the commission challenges, the new lawsuits. God, there's, I guess, 3 more new lawsuits going against the National Association of Realtors. One of them is move.com and part of Realtor, I understand, and another called Homey that are involved in this lawsuit with NAR. We'll see what happens with that. I'll keep you up to date on that. Rates, interest rates right now. We're right about an average of 6.49%, which is a 15-month low. Okay, right now we have a 15-month low for interest rates. They were up above 7%, north of 7%, starting to head to 8%. Then they came down. And then we actually dropped down to close to 6% for a minute there. Then they shot back up. So if the Fed does do a rate cut coming up here this mid-September, and I honestly feel he'll do at least a quarter point. I feel he's going to have to do something at this point, right? He might even drop it a whole half a point. We're understanding too. We're hearing a lot of chatter about that. So regardless, we're going to see some rate cuts, I think, and that will definitely pick up the market a little bit more. One thing I want to share with you about rates, okay, interest rates. If you're on the fence right now, please know that your lenders are already pricing these cuts in there. They're banking on this cut happening, so they're looking at doing pricing these right now. So reach out to your lender, find out what's happening. And if the rate's not quite there yet, maybe you're at 6.49 and you're feeling like, I want to wait till it hits 6.25 or 6. And honestly, for a lot of people, that increases the affordability on the property too. So it makes sense. I completely agree with you, right? So what you could do, keep looking at those properties. You find the right house that works for you, checks a lot of the boxes for you and the family or whatever, go for it, right? Start the process, write the offer. You don't have to lock it in there. And if you have a lender telling you have to lock it in there right now, get another lender. Okay. You could float that deal all the way to about 3 or 4 days before closing, right? Lenders like to call it lock, dock, and close. Lock, dock, and close. Give them 3 to 4 days just before closing to get that done. So, but then again, a good lender, which if you don't have a really good lender, I have one that I could always recommend to you that I have for many, many people for many, many years. Does a lot of my personal loans too, right? For homes that I buy. Anyways, if they're not going to help you in floating that loan, floating the rate, right? Keeping an eye on it, letting you know what's going on, what the chatter is. Are we talking about? There's a lot of talk about that rate coming down. They can't guarantee anything, or it's probably going to go back up. They might have some good insight because they're paying attention to the market. And then, maybe they'll recommend to you, might be a good idea to just go ahead and lock that rate today. Or, hey, you want to float it for a couple of days, roll the dice. I mean, you're going to feel like you're in Vegas for a little bit of time here, right? But you got to make that decision, watch the news, use your best judgment. But honestly, if the rate gets to a number that you can afford and it works for you, just lock it in, right? But when you're starting the deal right now, because there's such strong speculation of those rates coming down mid-September, you start it now, go ahead and float it. That's what I would do. I'd float it till we get real close. And I have a pretty darn strong feeling they're going to be lower next week or two, or by mid-September than they are today. Okay. So don't let that hold you up. Keep the process going. Get out there, look at homes. If you find the right one, go ahead and write the offer. Make sure you got a good lender and a good agent representing you from all ends, because if they're doing their job right and they know what they're doing, they're worth every penny. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off for this evening. I'll be back next Tuesday. I know I kind of rambled through this. We had some technical difficulties. My apologies. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Just give me a quick subscribe down there so we can make sure we get you all the updates. I'm going to really put a lot of focus on this, on getting you the latest information from the trenches in real estate. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off here tonight. Thank you so much for watching the show, and we'll talk to you guys again real soon. Be safe out there.